The monitor shouldn't beep like that. Hana stood at the edge of the Azure Heights medical wing, 53 floors above the fog-choked docks of Incheon, watching the cardiac telemetry trace a pattern she'd only seen twice before, both times in London, both times during suspected poisonings. This wasn't a hospital. This was a fortress where South Korea's underground shipping empires sent their kings to die without witnesses. Chairman Kang's heart rate variability spiked again. Hana pulled up the medication log. Beta blockers, high dose, the kind that should flatten those spikes into gentle rhythm. She'd administered them herself 6 hours ago. She did not trust the elegant woman arranging white roses in the corner, Chairman Kang's fiancée, Somi, whose smile never reached her eyes. Somi turned. "Is something wrong?" "Routine fluctuation," Hana said. Her pulse hammered against her throat. 27 days until she could clear her family's debts and open a practice where she'd never have to look away from medical anomalies that made her skin crawl. But this wasn't routine. The chairman's vitals crashed, a brief, rhythmic dip that contradicted every pharmacological principle she'd learned. It happened exactly 43 minutes after Somi's last visit, same timing as yesterday and the day before. Hana pulled up historical data. 3 weeks of identical patterns. Every spike occurred within 60 minutes of Somi entering the room. The facility's no-witness policy meant Hana wasn't supposed to question family visits. The rule was brutal. The staff are technicians, the family are caregivers. Know your place. Crossing that line meant blacklisting from every major hospital in South Korea. Chairman Kang was dying, not from exhaustion, not from his failing heart. He was being executed in his own recovery suite. The leather medication organizer sat on Somi's lap, never more than 3 feet from her elegant hands. Custom Italian leather, secured with a brass lock. Hana had never seen inside. The chairman's prescriptions were delivered from the facility's pharmacy, logged by the director, then vanished into that case. Somi was the only person with the key. Somi rose. "I'll prepare his evening tea." Hana watched her leave, noting the deliberate grace, the way she paused to glance back at the chairman's sleeping form. No affection in that look, only calculation, the gaze of someone marking time. 30 days until the Incheon shipping syndicate's merger contracts closed. 30 days until the succession window locked. If Chairman Kang died before those documents were signed, control shifted to the board, where Somi's family had 3 members, all from the rival Daejeon shipping clan. The timing wasn't coincidental. Hana followed Somi to the patient lounge. The Azure Heights facility prided itself on absolute discretion, no security cameras in family areas, no witnesses to the private rituals of the elite. She found Somi at the counter, back turned, bent over the organizer. The case lay open. Hana's breath stopped. She watched Somi's hands move with surgical precision, extracting the chairman's actual medication, small pink tablets marked with pharmaceutical seals, and replacing them with identical white tablets from an unmarked bag. The swap took 11 seconds. Professional, practiced. The white pills went into labeled compartments. The pink pills vanished into Somi's purse. Somi closed the organizer, locked it, and turned. Their eyes met. For 3 heartbeats, neither woman moved. Somi's expression didn't change. No panic, no guilt, only cool assessment that made Hana's blood turn to ice. Then Somi smiled, picked up the case, and walked past without a word. Hana couldn't prove intent, not with the unmarked pills now in Somi's purse, not with security footage that didn't exist, not with an investigation that would expose her for violating the facility's no-witness doctrine. Reporting this meant losing her license. Staying silent meant watching a man die. The monitor in Chairman Kang's suite began its familiar alarm. Another spike, another decline, another dose working through his system. This time, Hana didn't look away. The chairman's fingers didn't tremble when Somi placed the medication cup in his palm. Hana watched from the IV stand, face arranged in neutral professionalism. But Chairman Kang wasn't like other patients. Somi's voice was silk. "Your evening dose, darling." The chairman's eyes opened, dark, bloodshot, fixed on the 3 white tablets. He didn't reach immediately. His gaze drifted across the room, landing on Hana with intensity that stiffened her spine. He knew she was watching. He knew she was measuring. Then he took the pills, swallowed them dry, closed his eyes. Somi leaned down, kissed his forehead, gathered the organizer. "I'll return in 2 hours." The door clicked shut. Hana approached the bedside. The chairman's telemetry showed his heart rate dropping, not crashing yet, but following the pattern she'd documented for 3 weeks. Gradual, rhythmic decline that would bottom out in 47 minutes. Textbook glycoside toxicity. She had 90 seconds before Somi would exit to her car. 90 seconds while the hallway remained empty. Hana leaned close. "Your medicine is poison. She's killing you." The chairman's eyes opened, not slowly, not with medicated confusion. His gaze snapped to hers with absolute clarity, sharp, calculating, entirely unsurprised. He didn't gasp, didn't flinch, didn't reach for the call button. He simply stared with the expression of a man confirming something he already suspected. His lips moved. "How long?" 3 weeks of patterns, 30 days until the merger. You're being timed." His mouth curved into something worse than a smile, the predatory stillness of someone who'd been waiting for this information, who'd been enduring systematic poisoning as part of a larger strategy Hana couldn't see. Footsteps in the hallway, Somi's heels, returning. The chairman's hand shot out, gripping Hana's wrist with surprising strength. His fingers dug into her pulse point as the door handle turned. When he spoke, his voice was clear. "Adjust the IV. My arm is sore." Hana's hands moved automatically as Somi entered. His grip remained locked around her wrist like a shackle. From anyone watching, it looked like patient discomfort, but the message was brutal. "You work for me now." Somi's gaze swept the room. "Is everything all right?" "Fine. The nurse is thorough." "That's what we pay for." Somi's smile didn't falter, but her eyes lingered on Hana too long. "I forgot my reading glasses." She retrieved glasses Hana had never seen her wear and departed. The door closed. The chairman's heart rate continued declining. 41 minutes until the next trough. He'd known for weeks that something was wrong. He'd felt his body failing wrong, and instead of stopping it, instead of demanding investigation, he'd let it continue. He was using his own slow death as bait, letting poison accumulate while he waited for the right moment to strike back. Hana's medical training screamed intervention, flush his system, chelation therapy, specialists. But the chairman's expression said any attempt to save him would be sabotage of his plans. The night shift arrived, but as she prepared to leave, Director Im appeared, blocking her path. Director Im was small, with expensive glasses and a smile that never touched his eyes. Now he stood between her and the elevator, hands folded. "Chairman Kang's vitals have been unstable, within expected parameters for his condition." "Of course." He tilted his head. "I trust you understand our protocols. The family is responsible for personal care. Our role is technical support, nothing more." "I understand." "Good." He stepped aside. "Because misunderstandings can be professionally damaging for everyone involved." The threat was clear. If word got out that a nurse challenged family care decisions, even to prevent murder, the facility's reputation would collapse. Tomorrow, Somi would return with the next dose. The chairman would accept it. His vitals would decline, and Hannah would watch without reacting, playing her role in a performance where every actor knew the script except her. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. No words, just a photograph. Hannah's apartment building, taken from below, time-stamped 30 minutes ago. Someone wanted her to know she was being watched. Hannah sat in the break room at 3 a.m., staring at 3 weeks of pharmaceutical delivery records. The official log showed Chairman Kang receiving prescribed beta blockers, administered on schedule, clean, professional, audit-proof. But the vitals told a different story. Every time Somi's family care window appeared, the chairman's heart rate spiked 43 minutes later. Not immediately, but with the precise timing of a metabolized toxin entering his bloodstream. Someone had taught Somi exactly how long to wait, someone with medical knowledge who understood that delayed onset would mask the connection. The break room door opened. Hannah slammed the folder shut. Director Im stood in the doorway. Working late, Nurse Park? Reviewing protocols. At 3 in the morning? He poured coffee he wouldn't drink. Chairman Kang's family has expressed complete satisfaction with your care. That's rare. I follow procedures. Yes, you do. Im paused. Which is why I'm confused about the chelation therapy request you submitted to the pharmacy this evening. Hannah's blood went cold. She hadn't submitted any requests. I submitted no such request. Strange. Im pulled a printed form from his jacket. Hannah's name, her credentials, a detailed chelation order citing suspected heavy metal exposure. This was flagged 2 hours ago. They called me because it circumvented family authorization. It was a forgery. Professional. Perfect. The signature wasn't quite right, but close enough. Someone was framing her. That's not my signature. I believe you. Im set the form between them. But the pharmacy doesn't. And if this reaches the chairman's family, they'll interpret it as a direct challenge. You understand what that means. Blacklisting, career destruction, her family's debts unpaid, her sister's tuition evaporated. Someone, Somi or her allies, was maneuvering to remove her before she became a bigger problem. I want to help you, Im continued softly, but I need honesty. Have you observed anything unusual that might explain why someone would file this using your credentials? A trap. If Hannah admitted suspicions, Im would use it as evidence of instability. If she denied everything, he'd paint her as negligent. The chairman's vitals fluctuate. That's not unusual for his condition. But his condition is improving, isn't it? According to his fiancée, he's responding well, making plans to return to work. Except it wasn't true. The chairman was deteriorating with mathematical precision. But if Somi was telling the director otherwise, the official narrative was being rewritten in real time. I document what the monitors show. Of course, Im folded the form carefully. I'll handle this with the pharmacy. System error. But Nurse Park, I need you to understand something. He leaned closer, professional mask slipping. Azure Heights operates on trust. When that trust breaks down, everyone loses. He was telling her to stop investigating, or he'd make sure her name appeared on more forged documents. Hannah nodded. Im smiled. I'm glad we understand each other. He left, taking the form. Hannah sat in fluorescent silence. She was being managed by multiple forces. Somi wanted her compliant. The facility wanted her silent. The chairman wanted her observant. Her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Another photograph. This one showed Hana's younger sister leaving her university dormitory, laughing with friends. Timestamp from this afternoon. Angle suggested it was taken from a parked car. The message underneath: everyone has family. They'd threatened her career, her reputation, now her sister, the one person she'd spent 8 years protecting, the one reason she'd taken this poisonous contract. She returned to Chairman Kang's suite at dawn. The chairman was awake, watching fog roll across the docks. His vitals had stabilized overnight, the expected recovery phase. Hana checked his IV. "You knew this would happen." "I knew it would get worse. The question is whether you're strong enough to see it through." "Someone threatened my sister." "Of course they did. That's how leverage works. They can't kill you yet, you're too visible, so they make you wish you'd never seen anything. You're using me as bait. You're using me as documentation." The chairman finally turned. "When I make my move, I'll need proof, medical proof that holds up, the kind that can't be dismissed. I'm a nurse, not a forensic specialist." "You're someone they underestimated." His smile was cold. "Somi thinks you're too afraid. The director thinks you're too ambitious to risk your career. They're both wrong. You're too angry to stop now." He was right. Hana was furious, at Somi for calculated cruelty, at him for enabling it, at herself for taking so long to see the pattern. 23 days until the merger, the chairman said. "I need you to keep documenting. When Somi realizes you're not going away, she'll escalate." "Escalate how?" "That depends on how desperate she is, but desperation makes people sloppy, and that's what I'm counting on." The day shift arrived. Somi appeared at 9 a.m. with her organizer and perfect smile. She paused, seeing Hana still present, expression flickering. "You're working a double shift, Nurse Park?" "Covering for a colleague." "How dedicated." Somi opened the organizer, extracting morning doses, 3 white tablets. She held them out to the chairman, who accepted without hesitation. But this time, Hana saw what she'd missed. The way Somi's left hand remained in her jacket pocket, slight tension in her shoulders. The way her gaze darted to windows, checking sight lines. She was afraid of something, or waiting for something. The chairman swallowed the pills. His vitals began their familiar decline. 43 minutes until the next trough. Somi gathered her things, but approached Hana instead of leaving. "I hear there was a paperwork mix-up last night. A system error. How fortunate it was caught. It would be terrible if Chairman Kang's treatment were disrupted by misunderstandings." She left, heels clicking. Hana watched the cardiac monitor counting down. 27, 26, 25. The chairman's heart rate dropped steadily. But this time, something was different. The decline was sharper, faster. The recovery phase would be incomplete. Somi had increased the dose. The chairman's lips were turning blue. Hana stood at his bedside, hands hovering over the crash card she'd positioned without calling backup. The cardiac monitor screamed, heart rate dropping into the 40s, blood pressure crashing, oxygen saturation falling. Every instinct demanded she intervene. Bag valve mask, atropine, possibly external pacing. But the chairman's eyes were open, tracking her, waiting. He wanted to know how close he could get to the edge before she broke protocol. It was a test for her, for his endurance, for whatever plan he'd been orchestrating. If Hana intervened now, if she called the code team, she'd expose Somi's dosing schedule, alert the director, destroy whatever revenge the chairman had been building. Saving him meant ruining him. The monitor hit 38 beats per minute. His chest rose and fell in shallow movements. His fingers twitched, not unconscious, but deliberate, signaling. Not yet. Wait. Hana's hands shook, This was insanity, medical negligence, assisted suicide dressed as strategy. If he died in the next 60 seconds, she'd spend her life knowing she could have prevented it. The heart rate dropped to 35, then 34. Hana reached for the medication cart. The chairman's hand shot out, gripping her wrist. His lips moved without sound. Document everything. His heart rate hit 32 and held, hovering at the edge of collapse. Then, slowly, it began climbing. 33, 35, 38. The alarm scaled back from critical to concerning. The chairman's color remained terrible, gray-blue skin, sunken eyes, but he wasn't dying, not yet. He'd calculated exactly how much poison his body could endure. Hana photographed the monitor with her phone, timestamp, telemetry, the exact curve of his near-death recovery, evidence no official record would capture. "You're insane," she whispered. "I'm motivated. Somi just made a mistake." She panicked. That means someone is pressuring her to accelerate the timeline. Or she realized I'm documenting. If she suspected that, you'd already be dead. No, this is external pressure. Someone thinks 30 days is too long. The door opened. Somi entered with lunch. Homemade soup, bread, fruit. Her expression was serene, though shadows darkened her eyes. Sleep deprivation, stress, the physical markers of someone carrying unbearable weight. "You look terrible, darling," Somi said, arranging the tray. "The doctors said you're improving, but you seem worse." The chairman smiled weakly. "Just tired." "Of course." Somi arranged the meal with meticulous care. "I've been thinking about our wedding. Once you're recovered, we should finalize the date. Spring in Jeju Island." It was performance. Somi knew the chairman wouldn't see spring. She was building the narrative of a devoted fiancé making hopeful plans. But there was something else in her tone, a slight edge, desperation that hadn't been there yesterday. The chairman was right. Someone was applying pressure. Hana excused herself, retreating to the break room. She pulled up Somi's background. Somi Lee, age 28, Ewha Women's University, Business Administration, no criminal record, no obvious Daejeon connections beyond her uncle on their board. But there was a gap, 6 months, 3 years ago, where Somi's employment history went blank. No social media, no credit transactions, empty space where a person should be living their life. Hana cross-referenced dates with news archives. 3 years ago, the Daejeon clan had territorial disputes with a Busan syndicate. The conflict ended abruptly when Busan leadership mysteriously agreed to merge under Daejeon's terms. Shortly after, rumors surfaced about leverage, hostages, family members held in protective custody until agreements were honored. Hana pulled property records for Daejeon Holdings, industrial warehouses, shipping facilities, one residential property in Gangwon Province, a remote compound registered under a shell corporation. She ran a reverse image search on Somi's public photographs. Most showed charity events, galleries, society functions, but one image captured Somi at a cafe during the 6-month gap. In the background, barely visible in the window's reflection, was a young girl, teenager, same sharp features as Somi, same posture. The girl wore a school uniform from Gangwon Province, the same region as the Shell Corporation's compound. Somi wasn't operating alone. She was being controlled. Someone had her sister, held as insurance, to ensure Somi completed the assassination. If Somi failed or ran, her sister would disappear. Hana's phone buzzed. Unknown number. This time, just text. "Chairman Kang dies in 6 days, or your sister does. Choose." The deadline had moved. Whatever pressure was driving Somi's escalation had extended to Hana. 6 days, not 30, not 23. Someone wanted the chairman dead before the merger, and they'd kill anyone in the way. Hana looked at the chairman, whose vitals showed the strain. You can't endure 6 more days at this dose. I can endure 10 if necessary. Your liver is failing. Medically, you have 72 hours before irreversible damage. Then we have 72 hours to find leverage. Against whom? Hana's voice cracked. We don't know who's controlling Somi. We don't know where her sister is. We know they're afraid, or they wouldn't have moved the timeline. Someone panicked, and panic creates mistakes. The door opened. Somi entered. Evening medication, darling. She held out the paper cup, 3 white tablets. This time, the chairman hesitated. His gaze met Hana's. Then he took the pills and swallowed them. The dosage would kill him. Hana knew it when she saw the telemetry spike, harder, faster, more violent than any previous pattern. Somi had moved beyond systematic poisoning into active execution. The chairman's heart rate crashed into the 20s. This wasn't a test. This was the end. You think you know who survives this story. You're wrong. Somi stood at the window, back turned. I never wanted to hurt him, she said quietly. Hana's hands moved on autopilot, drawing up atropine. Then stop. I can't. They have Minji, my sister. If I don't... She turned, expression raw. They showed me photographs of what happens to girls who try to escape. Who is they? Asked Hana. I don't know. Instructions by phone, dead drops, anonymous accounts. I never saw faces, just orders and photographs proving they had my sister. The chairman's monitor hit 18 beats per minute. Hana slammed the emergency call button. Code blue, suite 17. Somi lunged, grabbing her arm. No! If you expose this, they'll know I failed. They'll kill Minji before anyone can find her. He's dying now! He's supposed to! Somi's voice rose. That was the plan. He dies, it looks like heart failure. I play grieving fiancé, my sister comes home. But you kept documenting. They knew someone was suspicious, so they moved up the timeline. This is your fault. The chairman's eyes opened, clear, focused, burning with predatory intelligence. Suite, closet, red box. Hana sprinted to the closet, yanked it open. Behind the suits, a metal strongbox sat bolted to the wall. No lock. She pulled it open. Inside, a handgun, 3 burner phones, and a manila folder thick with documents. She grabbed the folder, spread it across the bed. Photographs, financial records, surveillance logs. The chairman had been running his own investigation, documenting the same patterns but with resources she'd never imagined. Shell companies traced to a Swiss holding corporation, flight records showing private jets between Incheon and Gangwon, property records for the compound, and photographs of Somi's sister, alive, recent, taken from a distance. Minji was being held in the compound Hana had identified. But the final document stopped her cold. A contract signed 2 months ago between the chairman and the Daejeon board, an agreement to merge syndicates under shared leadership. It was a trap. The chairman had offered the merger knowing someone would try to stop it. He'd used himself as bait to expose whoever was sabotaging the deal. You knew. You knew before Somi even started. I knew someone would try. I didn't know it would be you, or that you'd be coerced. The cardiac monitor hit 15 beats per minute. Somi collapsed into the chair. It doesn't matter. You're dying. I failed anyway. Minji is alive. The chairman pulled a burner phone from beneath his pillow. My people extracted her 6 hours ago. She's at a safe house in Jeju. Somi's head snapped up. What? I located the compound 2 weeks ago. Couldn't move until I knew who was giving you orders. Needed you panicked enough to make contact. Then who? Director Im. Hana pulled another document. Banking records showing wire transfers from Im's accounts to the Swiss corporation. He's been positioning to take over both syndicates after you died and the merger collapsed. The door burst open. The code team arrived, doctors, nurses, equipment. They swarmed the chairman, pushing Hannah aside, beginning resuscitation. Hannah handed the team lead her documentation, 3 weeks of telemetry proving systematic poisoning. Director Im appeared in the doorway, expression shifting from concern to calculation. What happened? Glycoside toxicity, Hannah said clearly, loud enough for witnesses. Administered over 3 weeks. There's documented evidence matching dosing schedules to cardiac events. Im's eyes narrowed. That's a serious accusation. It's medical fact. Hannah held up her phone, showing photographs of pill swaps, telemetry spikes, the forged chelation request. And your signature appears on documents attempting to suppress investigation. For 3 seconds, Im didn't move. Then he smiled, cold, empty, and turned toward the elevator. The chairman's hand shot out, gripping the code team leader's wrist. Let me die. Sir, we can stabilize. No. His gaze swept the room, landing on Hannah. Document. The truth. All of it. The team hesitated, then stepped back. A dying man's final wishes carried legal weight. The monitor flatlined, alarms screamed, then stopped. The code team leader called time of death at 11:47 p.m. Somi stood shaking as security entered. Hannah provided documentation to police, photographs, telemetry, banking records, everything the chairman had compiled as insurance. But as the investigation unfolded, the story shifted. Director Im was found dead in his car, underground garage, single gunshot wound. The weapon traced to one of the burner phones in the chairman's strongbox. No fingerprints. The Swiss corporation vanished, accounts emptied, records scrubbed. Somi was arrested, then released when evidence showed coercion, placed under protection while authorities searched for additional conspirators. Minji was returned to her mother, told her daughter had been studying abroad. And Hannah received a letter 3 days later, no return address. Inside, a single sentence. The debt is cleared. Her family's debts, every loan, every creditor, had been paid in full. Anonymous transactions from untraceable accounts. The chairman had kept his promise. In exchange for documenting his murder, he'd ensured Hannah's freedom. But freedom came with knowledge she couldn't unlearn. Director Im's death wasn't suicide. The timing was too clean. Someone else had pulled that trigger. Someone within the chairman's organization waiting for authorization. The chairman hadn't needed rescue. He needed documentation, witnesses, and time to position his pieces. His death was the final move in a game that started months before Somi received her first instruction. Hannah stood on her apartment balcony, watching fog roll across the Incheon docks. Somewhere in that maze, the syndicate was reshaping itself without its architect. The merger would proceed, power would shift, but who really controlled the game remained unanswered. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A photograph of a shipping container being loaded onto a vessel bound for Shanghai. No message. Just a reminder that she'd seen too much to ever be truly safe, and that somewhere, someone is still watching.